Darren and Steve take on the world.
No, I think Darren and Steve save the world.
We save the world.
We save the world.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, yeah. I think is a really cool.
Yeah, and I guess the best part of about that is that we both have plenty of ideas, and we're not really worried about sharing them. And if they fail,
right, exactly, yeah, maybe that's the theme, right? Yeah, no, it could be that. I like what I like about talking with you is you're probably the least offended person I've ever talked to.
Wow, dude, that is a huge compliment. I got to be honest with you.
Like I have another friend, Andy Patch, who you and Andy Patch, we should get Andy on the podcast since it's a podcast now. But like and that opens up what I think we don't have anymore, right? Is like, how on earth do you talk through anything if you can't just hash things out or try to go deep on things or try to argue things or wait, or try to plan things out? Like, I think we have lost that, like completely lost that. So you really can't think through anything anymore with anybody.
You mean just with the freedom, the space to be able to make mistakes?
Yeah, or just that you might be wrong about something. And so even someone who thinks that I may be wrong, but there's nowhere to talk about it. So what you're left with is just like your own personal dogma, right? Because there's really, like, it's almost like the safe space idea should exist. Like, I'm actually all for safe spaces. They should just be everywhere.
Right? Well, I feel you.
Right?
Where I've been thinking about that same line is that, and this leads me to the more of like enjoying the long form podcast versus, I would say, the scripted,
right,
or a debate, like a formal debate,
right,
because basically in that there's sort of, somebody wants to win, right? I mean that's already part of it,
right?
And but it only lends itself to certain people. Like, so for example, like I've talked with Pastor Doug, a number of times, and I want to explore something. Like, right. I've got this thing that I really want to explore with him because I really respect him.
Sure, yeah.
That I really want to explore, like blues music and kind of the degradation from like a E. Michael Jones perspective.
Okay.
Of sort of like what's gone with rock music, and I kind of hate it. And he loves blues music.
Yeah.
And I'm like I love sort of like the cultural expression because probably I'm a liberal or something. I don't know. Okay. But like I like the idea of like Three Fingered Willie or somebody.
Okay.
Like actually playing the blues.
Right.
What I don't really like is like the Rolling Stones. Now, mind you, they sound cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away that they sound cool, but I feel like it's kind of a bastardization. So I've really wanted to kind of explore this idea, but some people don't explore. They just don't explore ideas.
Yeah, and I've never understood why I've never liked the Rolling Stones.
So there's that one.
Yeah, like that's a.
Is it the Mick Jagger?
I don't think so. I mean, it's weird to not connect with a band, and then my music snob friends, and I mean that in the most affectionate way, like who get music,
right?
Especially when they tell me, no, you need to listen to this part of the Rolling Stones. It's
head soup.
Well, and it's always their country album or their bluesy thing, and it's like the more you go there, like the less I like the Rolling Stones. So it's weird, even where people tell me like
like the deep cuts.
Yeah, like the deep cuts don't get me any more interested in the Rolling Stones. Although, and not that I listen to the radio much anymore, although I still do. If I hear "Start Me Up" on the radio, I go, "That's a good song."
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like I just go, "That's a good song."
Yeah, and I'm not taking away from the blues either necessarily, or even necessarily the expressions of it. I guess what I was really trying to go for was just like, I want to be able to wax eloquently with something I don't know enough about. And that right there is, some people don't like that. They don't like, like my brother. My brother would hate that. I mean, he's a professor.
See, I just had this conversation with, I just did a Jake Litwin, who works with me. He's like, he's been asking me for a year, can we just do a podcast with you on theology?
Right.
He's like, because when I talk theology with you, dude, we have fun, and you're incredibly, not well read per se, but like you got your hands everywhere on this, and it's fun. But you talk to someone whose job it is to have a degree, and like it's just no fun, right? And so I agreed to do it, and I said, but we have to call it "Don't Listen to Me." on theology, which then became Doane listened to me on theology.
That's pretty good.
There's a little pun in
That's
there,
good.
but that's kind of the whole thing. And throughout the podcast, I keep saying like, all right, here we go now. Don't listen to me on this. Don't listen to me on this, right?
I'm going to butcher the Trinity right now, but
right. Well,
I'm going somewhere. No, well,
I probably wouldn't butcher that stuff.
Right.
I probably wouldn't butcher that stuff, but I would definitely butcher like again, and it's waxing eloquent, like you said, without knowing everything. And so we got on the side thing on how I was like, look, we wouldn't be here today with the opportunities we have were not for someone like N.T. Wright. And N.T. Wright upsets everybody.
Sure.
Right. So, but I was looking at where N.T. Wright came from, what he ended up doing, and his influence in seminaries that I believe has now opened the door for us to even have particular conversations. Anyway, but no one's having that conversation. It's like, well, where's N.T. Wright today? Well, and it's like, so.
Well, and legitimately, I would say that there are people who study things and they know things, and they know about them a lot more than I do as well. Like it's not necessarily a point of hubris that I want to do it. I just like finding the edges and the corners through conversation.
Right.
And I feel like if you don't have a place where it's like either someone's like, and it's fair, not everybody has to do that. Like a lot of the podcasts I listen to are guys who read their script.
Right.
Or
sure.
and you know what? They probably pack in that 10 minutes more than I'll come up with in 8 hours. I mean, maybe of like solid right. content, and that's cool. But I feel like, if you're not able to, but then a lot of really amazing things come out of just kind of finding the edges, finding the corner, and digging.
Absolutely, no. I mean, I think that's that. Again, to me, that's actually how you do life. To take a really dumb expression, that's actually how you do life. You do life by getting to the edges and pushing things into you don't do life by saying I've got my script. Right. This is the kind of friend I'm going to be to you, Steve.
Well, the thing is, you also don't have you can't wait to learn everything and then go do life.
Well,
right. I mean, you have to do it right now.
Right.
And so, and then you're doing that thing that's right now, like whether it's like, hey, that's what I'm going to read to my kids in the Bible, or my prayer time with them is going to look like this.
Right.
And a lot of it's just like, oh, that doesn't work.
Right.
Or this works. So this engages some of them, but some of them, they totally hate it and whatever. And it's like, I don't have an option. I have to do this. I have to do something, but I know I'm also not an expert at it.
Well, in this, like an example where this comes up, like in my own life, is it's always when there's subjects out there that I know I'm not the most educated on. But for some reason, I seem to think I know more than everyone that says they're really educated on it, or they're just assuming something is like, well, we know this to be true. I'm like, well, again, I know I'm not the most educated on this, and I'll give you an example. Like, I always get in a weird conversation with people when it comes up, because it will in Christian circles. Like, I don't think there's any reason for Christians to fast.
Interesting. I think there is, but that's cool. That's a good conversation.
No, right. And now maybe there is, but it's not biblical the way people describe it. And so all of a sudden you try to do the biblical exegesis of fasting,
okay,
and you become a jerk. Because if you even ask people, show me what you're supposed to do in regards to fasting from the Bible. Now, what I mean by that is, I thought we were supposed to, amongst a group of people, I thought we had the rules. Open the Bible, show me what it means.
Yeah, that's dubious, right?
Right, yeah. No, and so people hate that when it's within your own team and you ask them that.
Right.
You're like, well, just show me in the Bible what fasting means. Meaning, what are you abstaining from and for how long?
As far as the actual rules around it. Like
give me one. Yeah. Give me one. I just say, let's just start on, and people are like, well, and it's like, and no one will ever give you an answer.
Yeah, well, maybe the thing on that issue, I don't know. Again, this is actually one of my sore points. Now, which is great, and I'm not a very good faster, but I've got a lot of thoughts on it. Not that we have to get into fasting right now necessarily. You're talking more about just sort of like, people can say something and we think we all know what we're talking about.
Right.
And I'm not really sure you know what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm not even sure I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But the thing is,
right.
I know you probably don't know what you're talking about.
And there's always a very intimate experience people will have usually on those subjects, no matter what it is. And so now you're kind of poking someone's personal experience, which you're not trying to do. You're trying to.
This is the offense. This is the offense.
This is the offense, right? Yeah, that's it. Not that Dylan say, dude, I fasted for 3 days. I only drank water, and X, Y, and Z happened. And I go, that's rad.
Yeah, well, and I think that what you're saying is exactly true. If we're all tiptoeing around way too much, not able to actually get to anything because what you're doing is you're questioning me. This is the demonic spirit of our age, right? It's
Right.
It's
Yeah. Right.
self glorification, whatever. I mean, like, yeah, how dare you?
Right.
How dare you? And
Right.
if I'm walking through life with that, how dare you?
Right.
I'm not going to get very far. I figure. Secondarily, it isn't really very fun.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it's not fun. I was thinking the other day how I went down the rabbit hole on like some weird, like non-Trinitarian groups that are out there.
Like our neighbors at the Pie Safe. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like this. It's there, and there's a lot of unique groups out there like that. But I was thinking, I can't think of any culture that's non-Trinitarian that was ever fun.
That's an interesting thought. I'm going to have to hear more on that.
Well, it's just it's one of those. It's things you're driving and you're like, you know what? Like, what non-Trinitarian groups am I like? Oh yeah, I got to get me into that subculture.
But you would have to say also there's a lot of Trinitarian groups that aren't very fun.
But my point being is within the Trinitarian groups,
Right.
I can find a fun group.
Right.
I can't find any fun groups in Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. Well, I haven't met any. They don't even have windows.
Well,
So that's weird.
well, and they're all dying out. It's really interesting. My mom's a Seventh-day Adventist, and it's all dying out. Like, it's all going away. You're not going to meet a Seventh-day Adventist in 50 years. So it's even interesting to see what's happening just in Christendom in regards to just denominations and like a lot are dying out.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I know that it's interesting. We've got a number of friends in our church community who are ex-Seventh-day Adventists. I don't have any close friends who are ever Seventh-day Adventist. My only experiences is going through a Christmas nativity scene drive-through thing in Portland that they put on that made me feel kind of like I was at a homeschool conference back in 1982 for women in jeans jumpers. But they were really earnest. That was my only experience, and I was like, but you guys don't eat meat. What do they not do? They don't eat meat. They follow all the laws of and your mom still is.
She is, yeah. They don't believe in hell.
They don't believe in hell.
No.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's nice.
Sure. I mean, I guess so.
Who does? I mean, who wants to believe in hell?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a horrible idea, right? I mean, so,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
So could I eat meat and not go to hell?
I think you still could.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I think you still could because I think my mom does. So
Okay,
I don't think she thinks she's going to hell.
Yeah, I don't.
Sorry, she's not going to hell because there's no hell. She's just going to sleep.
Because there's no. He's going to sleep. Do they wake up sometime?
Yeah. So the idea is that it's just soul sleep. That when you die today, you don't go to heaven and be with Jesus. You wait for the final resurrection. You're just sleeping.
Okay.
Which again, I'm totally cool with from a categorical standpoint because it's not like they're just making that up from the scriptures.
Right.
Like, I can see where you could get that. I'm cool with like Jehovah's Witnesses being like only 144,000 go to heaven. Like, I get that. That's not like Mormonism. We had a new vision.
Yeah, they get it from
Right.
There's actually a number in the Bible.
There's an actual number there. Yeah. There's the elect. There's I'm cool with all that stuff. I get why they think Jesus is Michael, the archangel. So he's not the son of God. He's an angel. Like, I get that because it's clear in some passages that this Michael, the archangel person is Jesus. Right. So
right.
I get that. So I like those conversations because now at best, you're having a disagreement, and it's a paradigm disagreement. And I like paradigm disagreements because if you can work through paradigms with people, you get somewhere. If it's just lining up verses, you rarely get somewhere by verse shooting verse.
That's true.
I love the paradigm conversations, if this, then that. Like that, I think, is there's implications. I think most people start to work through things based on well, I have found that the most enjoyable people have worked through things by way of implicational sort of thoughts, as opposed to don't eat meat. Meat's bad.
Right. No, I would tend to agree with you. I feel like that's mostly the way more of, and I guess that is where having a conversation about theology actually could get you to those types of things versus just, I guess, repeating. Well, that's what Calvin said in Institutes 15b-9,
right?
Whatever the case is,
right.
Which is good to know. Of course, it's really good to know. It's really neat to talk to people who know that, but people have answers, right, that they never necessarily haven't explored any way that it impacts their life,
right?
Not necessarily. Well,
right.
I mean, and I guess on some theology, and I guess that would be the case, though, that the ones that you are exploring through experience are the ones that are most meaningful to you,
right? And so I think when I look back at when I was at my most doctrinal, hardlined. In one sense, it's saving you from something. Like when you're
safe.
Yeah, or like I'm, not to your drinking, but when I quit drinking, that it saved me from something.
Sure.
Sure. I was hardlined. I was probably a jerk, but it was saving me from something, right? So sometimes these really heavy dogmatic positions I think are really good for a time. I think they really can get you. It's when it doesn't go beyond that. And when I look back, the things where I stayed in the longest from an identity standpoint ended up being the most damaging time. Like there's a point where it seems like it's got to mesh into something, another fabric that you sort of grow into.
Yeah, well, no, I would agree. I think that there was. I mean, I haven't been on my non-drinking kick for that long. So as far as I don't know if I certainly haven't gone through the full cycle of whatever this is right now. But I do know earlier on is like so a lot of things. And I mean, this is a fine transition, right? Like drinking. You want to talk about drinking?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Because it's always uncomfortable for me when my friends stop drinking. Yeah, it's kind of like they get a new girlfriend.
Well, yeah,
and they bring the girlfriend around, and they're like, "This is my new girlfriend," and her name is not drinking. Well, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, we love you, Steve, and we love her," right? Then, like 9 months later, you're like, "I'm not dating her anymore. I'm drinking again," and it leaves the person like, I don't know what to say now. Like I backed you. It was all cool.
We liked
her, and we liked her because you told us to like her, and you were like, "I'm committed to this woman," and you're like, "You know what? I'm just not into her anymore." And you're like, "So I think I took it more serious than you." Like it just gets weird.
Yeah. No, it is weird that way. Well, and oftentimes too, as I would definitely say, and this has happened to me directly, is not only do you maybe bring your girlfriend around, you also are spending way too much time with her, and you're not
or
like
sharing her.
Yeah. Well, that could be the case. I'm thinking like I don't hang out with my buddies anymore because all I am is hanging out with Veronica.
Right.
Which in some way, reality, that's kind of a big blow to your buddies. You're like,
right.
What's up, dude? Like we had this time, and oftentimes because instead of Veronica, I was bringing, I don't know who my drinking.
Right.
Who's the name of the girl that I?
Yeah. We need to get.
Drinking, I don't know.
Because now I remember your
Bertha?
wife's name. That's Kelly. And now I need to get. See, now I'm all confused.
Yeah, it can't be Kelly.
It was Veronica.
That'd be really weird. Yeah,
you went like 1950s. Like
I definitely chose
girl.
somebody I never dated.
I was going to say,
Veronica.
I certainly hope there's no record of Veronica.
And I was never that into Archie comics. So
right, yeah.
So
which is weird when like people are. There's like a weird thing there.
Is it still a thing?
I get a little weirded out by people into the 50s, but I don't know.
You're not into the
when people start swing dancing. When people start swing dancing, like I don't know what it is. Like I like swing dancing. It looks like a cool thing. I could probably do it. I got moves, but it just gets a little weird when people go all 50s.
I really appreciate that actually.
But you could probably go. See, you're the kind of guy. The reason why I like you is like everything I hate in most people, I like in you. So it's weird.
Well, you know what? That was really nice to hear. Usually I feel like it's the other way around. Most things I like in other people, I hate in you, Steve. Anyway,
okay.
Maybe that's just a personal problem I have. But no, actually it's interesting. Just talking about photography for a second. I did get a degree. I think I told you in video production from Washington State University.
That's right.
That was my thing, and I've never really used it much because I never really wanted to be a cameraman on the news.
Right.
That was kind of my trajectory.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You can make $13 an hour in a local market. Maybe like
is that really what you thought? Is that really what you thought?
So I was like, no, I don't really want to.
Someone
do that
drowned again.
Yeah, exactly.
In
their own vomit from their drinking.
I was thinking more of the dudes doing the kite surfing, but
yeah. Well, there's that exactly. Someone landed on a small island,
right?
While trying to jump it,
can't get off.
So that was the kind of trajectory that I wanted to do, and my final project was on swing dancing. Actually, it was back when Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. There was
a thing.
The movie Swingers, and
it was definitely in the time, and that was. Well, it wasn't just like, it was cool. I guess it was cool. Like we brought in a few swing bands, and that was my whole final project. And I thought it was kind of cool. And being probably dorkier then, I hope I was dorkier then.
Right.
I hope I was dorkier then than I am now. But that's kind of a safe thing to do with people is go swing dancing. Right? It's like Christian safe. Like, you know what I mean? Sort of.
No,
you know what I mean? Like
that's interesting because I remember when I think I became a Christian around the time of Swingers, or not too long after that. So by the time I became a Christian, Christians were doing that. So you're right. There's this but they were still going down to like the Derby where Swingers was filmed, because I was raised in Southern California.
Yeah.
And they were still going down there, and Big Bad Voodoo was still playing there, and they'd go like the swing dancing there. So you're right. There was this interesting, safe, wholesome.
Kind of wholesome. You know what I mean?
Right.
And those bands were not.
It's like you think the movie Grease is wholesome until you watch it later.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not really.
I want to say something, but I don't know if I should. No. Yeah. The whole thing is pretty, is a pretty funny movie now that you look back on it. But, that's my era.
But Veronica, who you're dating right now.
Yeah. Who I'm dating.
We're all supporting.
Thank you. And so that kind of what I've, I wouldn't say mourn. I hate when people say that. Like, I'm mourning this, or I'm praying on you. I'm mourning and I'm praying on you. Anyway, or love on. Anyway,
So I was a Christian for like when I recount trying to make sense of Christianese, when I became a Christian, like people saying frick. I'd never heard someone say frick.
You're like, just do
I was like, no, I actually didn't. I just was more like, it's
what is that
whoa.
word?
No, I knew what it was, and I knew what they were doing. I was like, whoa, but love on. I remember seeing like youth group leaders talking about loving on kids. I always laughed inside. Like, I don't think that should be the terminology
the word you're using here.
Like,
with
I
the
work with
13-year-old
kids,
girl that
and I
you're
love
hanging out
on
with.
that. I was like, this is just, and it was part of that like Christian safe. Like they don't know what they're saying, but it just was weird. But yeah, loving on is
So there's some ones that I guess whatever we could pick on evangelicals all day. I mean, that could be a whole podcast. It's just picking on evangelicals in the early 90s. So either which way, yeah. So I'm with a new person, Veronica,
right?
And mostly my issue there is okay. Really, what I'm talking about is getting out of that trope into what's going on with the time. You said when you quit drinking, you were doing it for a reason, and it was probably for a good reason, or you had a reason that helped you, or excuse me, you stopped and it did help you in A, B, C, and D.
Sure,
now, obviously, if
absolutely.
You're and the thing is, most of us agree with that with many different substances.
And I was around the wrong crowd. I was, like there was a lot of reasons. I had a good friend at the time who was drunk and then wanted to fight me. I remember that really like hurt.
Right.
Like seeing what could happen just within friendships, and there was enough where it was like, I'm done.
Yeah. You felt some kind of pain, and that helped it. And so I think I'm still in the phase as far as that I'm hardline convinced of certain things, but I know that it's already taken a different course than when I started. Because when I first started, I was like, okay, I'm going to get into the scientific aspect. Actually,
okay.
You've been really helpful to me. Actually, our discussions for as long and as long-winded as perhaps I have been, I've found that they've actually been helpful. And one of the reasons they have is because I just think it's like, what is a perspective I'm missing? And that's good. But so how it started off was more of like, science. I'm I want to know what alcohol's doing.
Like
to
no
my
need
body.
for this in your body type.
Yeah, exactly. So, or what's happening to my, what's happening when I do that thing.
Right.
And I think there's a reality to that as far as like, again, hey, why are you dating that girl? You don't really like her. Oh, whatever the case is.
Sure.
She's
right. Rich.
She's
rich.
Yeah, she's rich. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's something that
she's rich in.
She's very rich.
Yeah.
A rich one.
For robust richness.
Rich. Where you're deceiving yourself. And so I'm saying there is an element of self-deception that happens in a lot of things. And then also, but it's easy to always be the flipper, right? The guy who just flips, which is what I've seen with like people who are post-Catholic or post-Protestant, right? They're all like, oh, the richness of the Catholic Church,
right?
And you're like, I just never had that,
right?
I can pray the rosary, I can do all these things, and like, oh, it sucks so bad when I was sick, like whatever the case is. And then you also have the opposite, right? Where you have somebody who's like become a charismatic after they grew up they were a nun,
right? And
now they're charismatic, and they're just like,
right,
oh, it was so stifling and limiting,
right? Yeah.
And I'm just saying, there's something in us that we love that thing that we're becoming because it is fresh and maybe it solved a problem for us,
right?
But we're also self-decepting. We haven't, it's not. It wasn't all that bad.
I'm leery. I'm leery of most things that can't actually be acted out at work with people. It's sort of like
I want to quote that one. I want to just leave that right there.
Okay.
I'm
that's
leery.
That's the trailer.
Of things that I can't act out at work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in a lot of ways, that's how I saw all my charismatic friends. Like you would.
Okay, I get it.
Like you would. You would never act like this at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't take yourself seriously in 90% of the groups you're in,
right?
Or you would probably expect other people to think that you're an absolute wacko,
right? Right.
And then if you watch TBN, for example, my dad's been watching more Jimmy Swaggart. Jimmy Swaggart is still alive, by the way. I didn't realize he's still alive.
Wow.
But, I mean, he's got a whole network. He's got his kids on there, which is awesome. But I'm like, some of the things you see a grown man do without shame.
And that's just it.
He's got a big beard, like a kind of a burly guy. And
right.
It's like, really?
Right.
I mean, which is maybe doesn't mean anything necessarily. I mean, I also don't I shut the door when I go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying that the things you can do in your bedroom, with your wife, you need to be able to do at work. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But even then you could extrapolate something from there in regards to, there's something you probably could extrapolate. I'm just saying that most people, in the charismatic world, again, you literally can't apply it to 99% of everywhere else in your life. How you act, how you talk, how you you couldn't do it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about if you're if you read the Bible, there are some just experiences where Paul's like, I was on the third heaven, or
right?
Whatever.
Yeah,
and you're like, I don't know if I was in the body,
right?
I don't know if I was on DMT. Is
right.
what he said, but
right. Yeah.
But either which way, you're kind of like, that's weird,
right?
But he's saying that, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of prescription in the Bible to do things that you can't just normally talk about, right? And I was on the ground flailing for 30 minutes as I was barking.
Right.
And, and then I gave a lot of money to a man passing around a hat.
Right.
And that was somehow
and we joke about that. And hopefully if anyone ever listens to this, whether it be today or 10 years from now, they'll be like, I don't know what it's talking about. You know what I mean? What do you mean? But that's something that if you're living in 2021 and you're over 40 years old, it's affected you somehow. Through either a ministry, people, how people think, their experiences, all that stuff. It's real and it's just wacky, and you could never go to work. And these people don't go to work and act that way. So
is there anything? Don't get me wrong. I don't need a connection there because I understand what you're saying. But is there a connecting out to that? How do you say about drinking or an overreaction is what I was kind of thinking. Like like me being like, hey, I've got all this scientific information. I've read these books.
Right.
I read a book called Alcohol Explained 1. It wasn't 1 at the time. It was just Alcohol Explained. And then they came out with Alcohol Explained 2, this guy. And he's not a Christian. and he says some really crappy things that I'm kind of like, he gives like the trope answer to like, hey, you kind of got to help yourself in life, because if God really cared about us, he'd fix all the kids with no fingers.
Right.
You know, and so he's just kind of like, well, so I don't believe in a God, so you basically have to do this yourself, which
Right.
I thought was a bad prescription for.
Or he is going to.
Yeah. Which. No, I you know what? Good call on that one.
He will.
Yeah. It's going to happen. I mean, it
Right.
happened in your timeline.
Right. But no, I think the connection to drinking was you're talking about how people, when they go from, you know, one spot and then they go super charismatic and now they're living that. And so what's the connection between someone then going from Protestant to Catholic and now it's the richness of the church, or someone then says, okay, well now I'm sober, I'm not drinking anymore, and now I have this clarity, you know,
right.
Or whatever someone wants to say that they are, you know, having. And again, I think obviously you could go so deep on the science of those things. I tend to dwell more in kind of gut, quick takes in life, like my quick picture, like
Sure.
of people, all my friends.
Probably everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, but thoughtfully, you know, when you see patterns, and all my friends that went to Rome at some point had like legitimate like issues with their mother.
So I'm going to get this here today. So you're talking. This is a Freudian.
Well,
this is something
sure.
Freudian here coming up.
And everyone that went Eastern Orthodox had serious issues with their father.
That's interesting. I got tempted into Eastern Orthodox for a while.
You know,
Eastern Orthodox, but do I have problems with my father? Probably. I think I probably do.
I mean, who doesn't? But I'm just saying that
my mother was a wonderful woman. Right.
So I'm just saying, but like extreme, like again, these are just observations. But at some point, I think you have to realize in life, there's a lot of pattern recognition and data points in your own life. There's enough data to make a lot of at least hypotheses, whatever the word is there, on things that you notice. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so maybe I'm not tempted to go EO or Rome because I didn't hate my mom or my dad. So what would get me there could be something else. But based on the patterns I've just seen different things that have taken people different places.
So when you see somebody, okay, so you quit drinking at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You
but probably not with the thoughtfulness that you've done it.
Okay, but still, like, what do you think the pattern was? Well, you said you saw a friend who was trying to fight you. What would you think it was just stupid after a while? You were just like, this is dumb, dude. Why are we doing this?
I remember, well, at that age, at 17 or 18, wherever I was, I was also realizing that I should probably get my life, like church, to figure out my life. And I remember thinking it would probably be good not to drink. People were smoking weed and doing coke and doing all that stuff. I was never tempted that way. I was always freaked out to do things that had like longer than like a 30-minute, 40-minute.
Yeah.
You know, like I was always like, I didn't do shrooms or acid. I was like, I don't know how you get off that train.
I heard meth lasts like 3 days.
You know, right? See, and I
heard that.
Right. So I was never drawn towards anything that wasn't a ride. I want to get on a ride and get off.
Yeah.
Like not.
Well, you want the control. Yeah. You don't want to lose control.
But at that time, I think I thought I really needed to just get my act together. And then I think I felt good about myself. And I would go to parties, and every time I tell people I didn't drink, people always, while they were drinking, praised me.
You're like, oh, dang, dog, you're cool.
Oh, good for you, man. Like, dude,
my doctor
that's
did
so
the other
rad.
day. I went to the doctor, and I was just like, I went to Chaz. I like Chaz. For a good socialist thing, it's cool. But I went to the doctor, and as we were talking about, hey, do you need some more acid reflux medication? And I was just like, hey, you know, I'm not drinking anymore. And he was just like, I mean, he gave me like 3 or 4 compliments. It wasn't just one compliment. It was like, oh, that is so good to hear. You know, like well, I don't think it was even because he knew that like I was dead in the gutter most of the nights or something like that, which I wasn't. But it was just kind of like, Yeah, so there is that, which is attached, I think.
There's big props to it, man. People like big props to it. Like it's like, dude, I really
well, if you've
respect
suffered
that.
with it, if you've suffered from the effects, I think part of me is just sort of like when I'm dealing with sin, which drinking is not sin. I don't believe that. When I'm dealing with sin or a sin that I am repeating on a regular basis, and I'm even having like legitimate sorrow, legitimate. I mean, I talked to at least my parish elder. No, it wasn't my parish elder, but there was one of the elders that I was in the church, and I'm like, hey, I need to process this and whatever the case is. And so I don't feel like it was in the dark. It wasn't necessarily a sin for me that I was like really trying to cover up. Necessarily. I mean, there's a degree of that. I'm not taking away from the element of like I just want to call. At the same time, it'd be annoying. I don't need to call my friends every time something stupid happens. But at the same time, a lot of it was just for me is like, hey, why can't I not get a grip on this? And I'm conversing that with people who are telling me this is good. So I'm like, man, I'm having a really hard time think this is good. Now, mind you, I mean, sure, if I have like, 7 drinks, do I not feel good, at least temporarily? Sure. I mean, sure, if it's good, sure, I understand that I'm like, there's something intoxication-wise that I'm like, oh, I don't mind that right now. Right. But as far as like overall, kind of like, and you've even used language of a spiritual nature. That wasn't a pun.
Yeah, no.
But you describing kind of like what this offers your experiences in life, how this, even talking to Otto at church last week, kind of talking about, hey, like there's kind of flavor profiles, which makes sense to me. I can't make cinnamon toothpicks without like alcohol, or I can't make vanilla. I can't make vanilla like there's just things that like. So I was kind of like, hey, that's cool. It's good to hear another positive usage of this thing God made just kind of naturally work on earth. Right. But still, for me, there's a huge disconnect in like, I can't see that as good, and at the same time be experiencing it so gnarly. Right. So for people who, I guess, and so it's easy. Right. It's easy to just jump down the train and be like, I'm going to find all these 20 reasons. Which, I mean, I can come up with 20 reasons why it's great, 20 reasons why it's not. But I'm gonna latch onto the 20 that are why it sucks. And one of the things I've noticed in myself that's a problem with that is actually that it's somewhat self-justifying. Does that make sense? It's sort of like, hey, man, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. I never beat my wife or something. But I'm just saying, like, hey, I wasn't the one who beat my wife. Right. It was Jack Daniels. Right. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case is. And I think that there's something sinfully about that, right? That I just don't want to take responsibility for something. That's why I think that's why I think it's a very loaded topic, right? Because when you treat alcohol just as a topic that you think you can just come to from any angle you want, I think it leads to just huge there's confusion and there's arguments because, again, how one gets there, you're not actually taking into consideration usually how someone has gotten to that position. My pushback culturally, which is actually kind of cool, actually. If we're not offended, if we're not easily offended, right, then I'm like you don't have to walk on eggshells around me. You know what I mean? Like you can tell me all the glories.
Well, I shouldn't have. But here's the thing: I don't think I should know. My push.
You shouldn't have to know, is what you're saying.
Yeah. No. Well, that someone's not drinking. My pushback culturally.
Yeah, I know you don't like that one. I like that.
Yeah, my pushback culturally is, why are you making this my business?
Well, I mean. Okay, I thought about that for a bit because you explained that to me last night, where you kind of had that thing. You're like, I don't need to talk about the fact that I don't collect my earwax and put it in a jar anymore. Right. Like you're like, Steve, that's cool. Most people don't. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you what happens when you do take your. No, I didn't ask. I didn't ask. But I read this book about earwax.
And how cool it is to keep it in a jar.
Still, or why not to keep it? You know what? I don't.
Yeah. It's cool. I don't. Cool. I mean, and the thing is, you might care. Like the thing about it is like. I mean, I also believe that a lot of the topics we deal with are
here on this show.
Well, they're hopefully all of them are.
If we have a show.
Yeah.
Here, look, on this show, what we're doing, what we deal with here.
We're talking about.
When we come here to this show, every time.
What was I saying? I was saying, okay, so talking about earwax, yeah, I get it. It's weird. It's a little, yeah, exactly. I don't need to tell you the kind of toilet paper I buy. I mean, maybe if you got a problem, if you've got a, I don't need to get into the details of your problem.
Then reach out to me. Hey, reach out. Reach out. It becomes a new identity. It becomes a new baptism, and I just get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think both. Well, here's the issue. Anybody who's dealing with something acute, whatever it is, like this is my pushback to you. Okay. My pushback to you is if you're dealing with something acute, that's a legitimate problem. Number one, I would say having some help, like if people don't know you're struggling with a particular issue. Mm-hmm. See, kind of the things you're talking about, I would say when it comes to earwax are like they're kind of benign, banal. They're like both. They're just kind of like, okay, that's fine. Okay, I know that's weird.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't, yeah, okay.
Right.
But I would say is that like alcoholism, if I want to use that word, I don't even know if I like that word, but let's just say alcoholism.
Sure.
And the destructiveness of alcohol is like a very common and normal and acute problem in society.
Okay.
So I would say is that like, sure, if you're, okay. So I would say that's differentiated there. Sure, I think it's also ridiculous. I don't need to wear a shirt that says it. I don't need to do that. But I do think that if something's one of the problems I've had, I mean, just being real, right? Just being.
But hold on, but that's an interesting setup because are you telling me you're an alcoholic?
Are you asking me that question right now? Is that what you're saying?
I'm actually. It's based on what you just said. Are you telling me in this scenario? Are you telling me your connection to this? This picture you're painting that you're an alcoholic.
Well, I think so. And I mean, answering the question, I also don't like a lot of the language. Like I don't like a lot of the language. Period.
I'm not arguing if I think alcohol. I'm asking you. Are you identifying as an alcoholic?
Okay. Well, and that's the problem I have with certain kinds of language is that I don't like. The definitions are loaded by the current. But you just want me to say what I think about that? Yeah.
I'm not pushing definition. I'm just asking you. You use the word. I'm just curious. Like, do you see yourself as someone?
Yeah,
who,
I think
when it hits your lips, it tastes so good. It's so good. I just showed my daughter that clip.
That's it's a good one. I would say yes and no. My problem is going to be different than another guy's way of doing it. I don't have the. It touches my lips kind of a thing.
Right.
Like I'm not like, I'm the kind of guy that's like 3 or 4 drinks and then I'm on the teeter totter. It could go bad.
See, I've never done, so it's funny you say that. Cause like I have a huge like cultural shift category. Like I have like when you say 3 or 4 drinks, I'm like,
that's a lot of drinks. Or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I do 2 max.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, okay. Right. That's awesome.
So I'm already when I talk to adults, but you're kind of like you're not like a hard dude, but you're like a hard dude, in that like you're like a real dude. Like real dudes can do like 3, 4 beers. Like there are real dudes out there who like can throw them back.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of guys who can throw
and
back.
So I've never thrown back 4 drinks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sure.
I'm like, woo, like that's like, I don't know why someone needs 4 drinks.
You're like, I could be at 15 drinks, Darren, and I don't know what's going to happen at that point.
Right. No, see, like, I've never, like, I've had 2 drinks and then been like, what's the percentage on this? And realized I had like a 9.6 and like we were doing tastings or something. But so there's actually a part of me that like, I mean, I get that world exists, but like it's still
well, and I think that's actually one of my takeaways too. Is kind of like my encouragement to people who drink or to kids.
I mean, who drinks 4 or 5 drinks?
Well, a lot of people do.
But that's gnarly.
I mean,
that's gnarly.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, sure, I get your paradigm.
No, I just mean it just seems gnarly. I mean, I haven't even judged it yet. I'm just saying that just seems gnarly. If someone's like, yeah, I had 5, 6 drinks last night. I'm like, Did you not have anywhere to be?
I think that's kind of, well, I mean, okay.
That's what I always think. If someone's got time for 5 drinks, that's literally what I think. I'm like, do you have nowhere to be?
Well, I mean, some people drink all day too.
I know, dude, and that's trippy. And that's trippy to me. I mean, we're just shooting the breeze right now. That's like, I'm like, I know there are people that drink all day, and you're like, whoa. Like,
well, yeah, exactly. Like I was talking with my
that seems heavy.
lawyer about that. There's some lawyer that he knew that was whatever, some guy who got a DUI, and he was a good old boy. The story doesn't matter. Other than he was just like, his office manager woman bought a case a month, which, I guess we figured it out. And it was like, you pretty much have to drink like half a bottle of bourbon or whatever it is a day, which is like, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. That's probably, it's like 7 or 8 drinks, or maybe 10, drinks in a day. Now, mind you, again, for dudes who drink, that's not even that crazy though. And that's probably just at work.
Yeah, no, like I said,
that's probably not getting to, not home, or maybe even the morning. I mean, I've dudes who are like, hey man, I pick up a case.
No, I see those dudes. To work. I see those dudes in. I mean, usually I see them at the gas station, not the grocery store so much, right? But like, I'll see a dude. There, yeah. I'll see a dude at 5 p.m. like with that Keystone.
Yeah, 30-pack, man.
And I'm like, I don't know, and it trips me out.
I carry those. I carry Keystone Light at the Timber Mill Bar and Grill. I just want to let you know that little plug for.
And I'm sure
if you want Keystone Light, I have it.
Ice cold, it's probably fantastic.
Oh, it's delicious sometimes.
Yeah.
And the guy, people love it here in Idaho, apparently. Yeah. Okay. So in a lot of that's the problem. So what I'm trying to say is, I mean, I'm actually agreeing with you on your perspective. Like, I'm just saying, like, part of that's just the problem. It's like, hey, what are you doing having 4 beers?
Right.
Or 4 like IPAs? I don't even mean like you're
right.
You're not having a picnic, Steve. That's 4 hours, and you're having 4 Coors Lights.
Where are you trying to get to? I look at alcohol as where am I going? Like when I see alcohol, I always ask myself, where am I going?
Yeah, I think I've just not asked myself that question a lot. I'm just being honest.
I was so scared when I started drinking again. I needed handles. I needed a worldview.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good. I think a lot of my experiences growing up not drinking, and not in a home that, as a teenager, I guess I did some, but it never was something that I took with me, and I didn't care. I think it would have been more socially, just like maybe at a party, and I better have a whatever it was, some kind of ice beer was big when I was in high school.
Ice beer.
Ice. Just like whatever.
Ice,
Keystone Ice.
Oh, yeah.
Like Schlitz Ice. For whatever reason, that was cool.
Because beer cold is good. So if the name is like cold. Yeah,
and ice just actually means more malt liquor. All it really means is just kind of like you got more alcohol.
See, and I love malts.
Ooh, then you'd really love a good OE. Maybe you wouldn't.
What? I wonder. Yeah.
Next time we'll get a 40.
And we'll try it right here,
and we'll see what happens, dude. And then maybe we'll
is Mickey's malt liquor?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it is.
That's my favorite, actually.
Okay.
Actually, I think Mickey's goes the best with barbecue. I'm just being honest.
Really?
Oh gosh.
Is that the flavor profile? Now we're back to auto, right? So you think a malt liquor
and
with a barbecue?
Yeah. I mean, that sounds even like, maybe that sounds racist. I don't want to say that. Mickey's is kind of more, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of giving some tropes, right? But that's not actually my angle on it. Like, I'm talking flavor profile.
See, as a white kid growing up, if you could get some Mickey's, it was like you scored.
Well, yeah, but Mickey's is for white people mostly.
Okay.
Not necessarily. I mean, of course, not necessarily.
As long as we just talk about white people, we're fine. We can't be racist.
Right. Well, yeah. So Mickey's is probably, maybe you live in Boston, maybe you're Irish, you're probably having a Mickey's. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
okay.
Now, and I
wide
think,
is a wide mouth, right? That was the Mickey's wide mouth.
The grenade. Yeah, the grenade's a little wide mouth. That's the original wide mouth grenade. Which and it's a beautiful can. I actually have some at the Timber Mill Bar and Grill.
I think I saw that in your in the little.
So you could have some. I even had 40s at one point, because I was like, that would be. I went to this barbecue joint in Portland back in the day that would serve 40s. I can't remember which. I think it was OE. They served them in a champagne bucket on your table, with ice in it, of course, and that was just one of their jams. Was you can get it was a Pabst 40.
I've only
which is
seen
super white. I mean,
I've only
seen
Corona in the bucket with ice, but
Yeah, many of them. But this is a different angle. This
Right.
is, and I mean, I gotta say, it's really not. I mean, if you're talking about experiences that you love,
Right.
or you like, and when I say love, I don't mean like I love. I mean
Right.
like I have
Yeah.
to have it or I'm gonna
Right.
die. I just mean more of like, you know,
Oh yeah.
like you've had a good, you know, yeah, you're on your
Yeah.
patio, you got a beautiful patio,
Right.
you're cracking up a Corona or
Right.
Corona Light with
Right.
a lime,
Yep.
and you got that
Yes.
grill on, and
Yeah.
you're having a good time,
Yes.
or it's aiding.
Right. Right. And I can't fathom doing 8. Again, I'm still confused.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I think that maybe I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
I'm
an alcoholic. I
well,
don't know.
once again, we said we were going to solve the world's problems,
Yeah.
and we solved it, Steve. No, I don't.
Good. That's good.
I don't want to make fun of you.
The thing that I don't like in my hesitancy on alcohol, which I think a lot of people in our community would understand that. A lot of people won't.
I know what you mean. Sure.
I went to AA for a few meetings, a couple different ones of them. I went to also the Latah Recovery Center for a couple meetings, which both things both things, there were some good things that I took away from it. I don't want to badmouth people who are, if that system's working for them. I didn't go to the like church recovery. I really wasn't into that. And I tried to actually do kind of a small group for people who are struggling with alcohol or drugs.
Right.
And that didn't pan out all that well. And I mean, it might have just fallen apart. It might be the Lord. Like, I mean,
Right.
How about everything is the Lord? But but
This was not the Lord.
Yeah. Whatever it was.
Right.
No, but this I think was possibly also, you know, as I'm processing through it, I'm just trying to be conscious of, hey, what's going on with that.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot more people. I mean, I'm still pretty convinced that there's a lot of people who are struggling either overtly or covertly with that level. I know a lot of dudes who just put back a 6-pack. I mean, like 6-pack of IPAs. I mean, on a nightly basis. I don't think that's uncommon. I don't think it's uncommon to put back 4 or 5 big scotches, 4 or 5 big bourbons.
Wow.
I really don't think that's uncommon. And the thing is
Big
that, like,
bourbons. Big bourbons.
I don't want to also. I like where you're going. And
I don't like where you're going.
That's awesome.
This 8 drinks a night thing.
How about I
is
just
just
stop? I didn't say I had them a night.
Okay,
but,
my bad.
But
my
but
bad.
I did at times.
But you know somebody. My
No.
friend has a question.
My friend.
He's drinking 4 big bourbons a night. My friend.
Yeah, my friend. I haven't drank. I only slipped up once since in the last 6 months.
No, but honestly, help. I mean, I get it, but help me understand. Again, I think in terms of it, it's kind of like dudes cheating on their wives. I don't know where they find the time.
Well, I mean, I like that. Well, you can drink when you're working. I mean, at times I would ship out here over at one of my businesses, and I'd go get a couple margarita cans down at the mini mart.
Right.
Which
No, I mean, I know I could. No, I mean, I get
in fact, shipping went way better with a couple margaritas.
Okay.
Like, I mean, in all reality, now mind you, that's also in the safe zone.
Right.
That you're also kind of in
Right.
now maybe for me that's not a good zone to be in.
Right.
But I'm saying that's still the safe zone.
Okay.
But like, you know what I mean? If I called it quits at that point,
Right.
and all my other ducks were in a row,
Right.
I'd be fine. But when you're doing that, you know, 3 or 4 times a week, and then you're probably having something else or stopping by a friend's house on the way back to have 3 more drinks.
Right.
And then every once in a while, you know, I'd find myself bumping up into the, up into
Just
Sassy's. No, I wouldn't go there. I don't even know where that is. I think it's important.
No. But see, me and you have touched on this, which is like, you know, I think at one point, like you said something like you went and like you were like, you've got friends you hang out with.
Yeah, I've got good friends,
right?
Who are good people.
Yeah, no, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, we've had this. Yeah,
and I was like, well, and so again, I get that there's kind of cultures that like, not that I don't understand, but like I don't even know how I would get there. I don't even know how like I would go home and tell my wife like I've got this new friend and I like Steve a lot. And so we're gonna drink 3 nights out of the week, if not 4. Yeah,
and we might get home like at 10 o'clock at night.
That just sounds like
more of a red flag. Just kind of like, where are you?
Like it's not even a red flag. It's like I don't even know what it is. It's like I was like I wouldn't even know. Like I don't know how to have that conversation again because I know I must be coming from a completely different trajectory.
Well, you're also an outlier in some ways. I mean, this is what I experienced when I moved to this.
But outliers seem to know how to drink and do these things just fine.
What did I miss there?
Well, you said, well, you're a bit of an outlier. I thought that meant, so therefore I wouldn't do that stuff. Or do you mean I'm an outlier? I mean, I don't have any friends.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant not out. Okay, that's probably the wrong word. Let me put it this way. What I experienced.
I've never lied about out things.
No, when you're out, man, you're out.
When I'm out, I'm lying.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
You seen Doane out? Lying.
I don't out.
And show. What? People are like, what just happened? Okay, so I'm an outlier. Okay.
Yeah. So my outlier thing was more around okay. Well, this is what I think about our community.
Okay.
Real quickly, is I think there's two main groups. Okay. There are the people who are really in to their like downtime. Like they're putting a lot of time in on a regular basis. And I think they would say that even in the fight, laugh, feast thing. Okay. The feast is probably more than the fight. There's probably some laughing too. Okay. But more than the fight, there's probably
Why do we always forget the laughing?
Yeah, no. Oh, there's a lot of laughing on that on that show. But I think that feasting is a real value. And it is a value in our culture. Okay. It's not a value. Okay. Right? Like people doing Sabbath dinners. Right. People trying to do them well. Right. Sure. I don't mean just like, hey, we got the Kentucky Fried Chicken again. Right. They're putting like tablecloths out and stuff. Yeah. And buying nice wine and things and whatever. Okay. Which I think is like, which is certainly there's no sign on any of that. So I'm saying, but then there's people who are like, they want to do that a lot more. Like they're like really into wine. Okay. They're not just into wine, but they're like okay. Really, I mean, they can. They're spat off, and I think that whole like, I'm on my porch, I'm having a nice cigar. I'm having a nice wine to cap this evening off. And that is just a really necessary and rich part of my day. And that's a normal kind of a thing. Okay. A normal thing. Okay. So when I think of those people, that's how I think of them. And I'm not saying I'm contrasting that to somebody else. I'm not saying that the other people don't do it. But a lot of those other people, like there's most of the high performers I know in town, you certainly being one at the top, of course, is that they are, and this is usually spoken about people who are also, I would say, high performers in general, not just in this town. Okay. Are people who have actually like got a pretty good handle on what they're going to attack that day. Okay. They go out there and they accomplish a lot. Okay. So like I said before, there's guys who I've known in this town who are not, who I thought I maybe would know. I thought I would. Hold on a second. We're still recording, which is cool. Okay, so yeah, well, there's guys in this town who I thought I would be maybe closer with them when I moved here. Yeah. Just giving like whatever the case is, but I see a lot of those guys are guys who are just doing a lot. They're doing a lot, right. And there's just not a lot of time. And even when I've talked to them, they've been like, "Hey, if I'm going to spend any time with my family, that's my time. Yeah. That's my time. I mean, maybe I'll see you at a thing. Right. I'll see. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe if we're working on a project, I'll see you. But as far as like, I'm not doing 3 hours a night on my porch, right, with like a rotating band of dudes. Like that ain't happening. So again, it's hard for me to know how to put the value like you suck and you're good, or you're good and you suck. Right. Like I don't want to do that. I'm just saying like I've kind of, and the guys in my community who are more that dude, the 2 hour, right. That's a big value paradigm. Have been where have reached out to me, which makes sense. They probably got. I don't want to say they have more time, but they're using time that way.
Well, and I'm assuming people do have that time. I mean, I'm assuming people have figured out like their life and the economy of what they have. Again, I'm assuming there's got to be really good uses of that time.
And I've seen it a lot too, even when I was in Portland, like we talked about before. You said you had some negative experiences where it was like, we're getting a little too chummy with everybody. Perhaps in these church groups, whatever the case is. Yeah. But that was probably the real, when I was over like an Imago Day in Portland, like that was a lot of the paradigm. There's a lot of beer drinking. There's a lot of whiskey drinking. Right. There's a lot of hanging out. There's a lot of barbecue. Right. There's a lot of just kind of like living kind of I don't know what the right word is, but you're just more involved. And I'm not saying that's necessarily better. I don't want to say that's better. It's just that. That's kind of how it is. So anyway, I don't know if I just made an apology or what it was for people who are doing more of that.
No.
But what I'm saying is that I think that's a thing, and sometimes it's even broken down by churches a little more that way.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I mean, I
that's,
think,
that's their zone.
yeah, I mean, I'm a little more focused. Well,
Well, you're a hyper. You value performance, and I would say in a good way. Like I mean, you get a lot done, or at least you look like you're getting some stuff done. Maybe you get nothing done. I have no idea,
right.
but you know
Yeah,
what? It looks like you're
Makes,
getting a lot
yeah,
done.
what I get done is making it look like I get stuff done. I have a,
I think you have a really good. I'm going to interject and say I
Yeah.
think you've got a really good resume. I don't think
Thank
that,
you.
I don't think that's me just saying that you get a lot done. But I'm like, whatever. I can IMDb
Right.
that and actually be like, hey, there's stuff that's gotten done, and I'm just adding into there.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, and actually one of the reasons I'm glad doing this with you is that I've wanted to work with people that I've respected their work ethic. Because that's been almost nobody I've ever worked with.
Got
Other than,
it.
I mean, I got some guys here who I
Sure.
work with Center Tech that I really respect.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're not hard workers. I'm just saying that the pure level of an entrepreneur
Yeah.
or a man who is really trying to slay business, it just hasn't been part of my friendship group.
I think there is a switch or a level that when you start to realize that the arbitrary nature of your goals are just that, and that you live in God's world and you fantasize about winning the lottery and you pick a reasonable number, that it doesn't make any sense when you're fantasizing to say,
Break that down a little bit.
what if I won $4 million? Right?
Okay.
Why would you fantasize about 4 million when you could fantasize about $1 billion?
Okay.
There's weird things we do even in our fantasies that are just small. When you really start to think in terms of like, hey, like I don't just want to maybe put some money in some crypto and I get lucky, but I'm going to have to work really, really either hard or smart to do particular things. And if you're like me, where this isn't some false humility, I don't think I'm that talented. The only thing I've got going for me is tenacity. That's it. I have very little talent going for me. And for me, to realize that means I have to work really hard. I think it's rad if some dude can go 9 to 5 or whatever his times are and find the hours he gets to go hang or do whatever, or maybe does a lot of vacation with the family. Like, that's cool. I wasn't given that set of qualities to make things happen. I wake up every morning feeling like a complete, like, all right, I better figure something out. So I don't, it's not that I'm not resting on my laurels, or like there's, and a lot of what I do is even though I make a lot of physical things people see, trying to explain to people what it is you do when you're me doesn't have a clear answer. And so I'm always trying to figure that out, communicate that, find ways to transfer that energy I have or that thing I do. So I've never felt like I have the ability to start carving out luxury.
I feel you. I question. I mean, you know what? Let's wrap it up on that.
Sure.
Because my camera went out, and if I don't get any more camera time, I just want to cut it off. No, I'm joking.
So it's just me?
It's just going
It's
to
just
be on
me?
you, right?
So it's just me?
We're going to close on you.
You get the last word and visual.
Yeah, but I feel you. I want to end this up. One of the podcasts I want to work on is Hustling with Steve.
Sure.
Which is just doing a lot of small time projects. The reality is they're not big.
Can I be the first guest on Hustling with Steve?
Yeah, of course. Maybe that's what this. No, I'm sorry. No, but that's where I feel kinship.
Yeah.
I don't really look at you from the outside as though like you and I aren't really slinging rims out of the back of but we would. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think that right there is a big separator. I really believe I got nothing I got nothing owed to me.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what?
100%.
If everything falls apart, I probably didn't do something right.
Right.
Or even if it does, even if God wants that for me,
Right.
then you know what? I'm going
Right.
to have to start selling CDs out of the back of my
That's right.
truck over
That's
in
right.
Hollywood.
And that's an option.
That's
And
okay.
That's a viable option.
You know what? And the thing is, I kind of like that.
Me too.
I like that I might have to go sell CDs. And I want to get an Impala to do it. So
yeah, I'll do it with you.
yeah, and so that makes it fun. Okay, well, thanks so much, guys, for watching this. Whoever watched this, if anybody watched it, and
Or
thanks,
listen,
Darren,
or just listen,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
just
yeah.
listen.
That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta help me on where to get
Yeah,
these things up.
it's okay.
But
Yeah.
we're gonna do it again, and I'm glad we solved your problems. We definitely solved ours,
Oh, look how good you sound.
and we are
Oh,
definitely.
wow. Oh, I sounded this good. No, I sound like, see, this is why I don't listen to myself. I sound like Mickey Mouse, and you sound like a man.
Mickey Mouse and the Man. That could be the name of our program. All right.
Nailed
all
it
right.
again.
All right.
Watch them play.